Been looking forward to this for quite a while. Huh?
This is a public announcement. This is a public announcement.
What?
It's that time again.
Huh?
It's Baggy Hi-Fi time.
You're
This
joking.
is a public announcement. It's that time again.
Okay.
It's Baggy Hi-Fi time.
Okay, I'm coming. Won't be long. Okay, I'm coming. Greetings cats and kittens, welcome once again to this channel, Baggy Hi-Fi, a YouTube channel devoted to record collecting and the vinyl community in the UK. If you're new to this channel, thanks for dropping by, why not subscribe? Now the title of this video is Rescued from the Garage, a random pile of vinyl. And I'll tell you the story behind that title. The place where I used to live, I still have quite a few things stored in the garage, and the deal is with the tenant is that I'm able to leave those things there, and I sometimes go and pick up a bit of mail which is addressed to me. And because the restrictions were lifted a little bit on the lockdown last week, I decided I could do that drive, about a sort of a half-hour drive to where I used to live, and I went into the garage, picked up some mail, and also I thought I'd pick up some records which I'd left behind. Now I thought that most of the records I left behind were ones that weren't essential to me. But recently I've been thinking, you know, where's that Robert Wyatt LP? I used to have it. Did I sell it? What happened to it? So I found when I looked through the boxes of records in the garage that there were some things that I wanted to rescue, but I didn't have much time, so I did rescue, as I say, quite a random pile of records, and I thought I'd just maybe pick out 10 of those LPs to talk about in this video, and be warned, they are very diverse in style and period. So the first one is one I can't remember buying. Probably bought it at a Saturday morning market, but it's by Michael Nesmith, formerly of course Woolhat of the Monkees, and celebrated songwriter, pioneer of country rock in the 70s. Now this album, you can see it's from a library, has a library stamp on it. This one's called And the Hits Just Keep On Coming, and it's from 1972, and it's on Island Records. There's Mike. I'll just show you the label, because it's an Island label I've not seen before. Pardon the stamp, but yeah, this Island sort of beige Island label with a green leaf on it. Anyway, I played this album the other night, and it's very good. I mean, Mike Nesmith was a songwriter before he was even in the Monkees, and all these 10 tracks on here were composed before or during his time in the Monkees, and it includes great song Different Drum, which was recorded by Linda Ronstadt and the Stone Ponies. Very spare accompaniment, it's just Mike Nesmith on acoustic guitar and Red Rhodes on pedal steel guitar. So something of a country rock album, not typical of my taste, but I'm a big fan of the Monkees, so that's probably why I bought this for £2.25 about 10 years ago. And a lot of these records are from about 10 years ago. I just tell you that I used to be a fanzine editor around in the late 80s, early 90s, and I used to get review copies. So some of these records from the sort of early 90s will be review copies, and there may be ones that I didn't really play. The next one is by Killdozer. It's from 1989 on the Touch and Go record label. So Killdozer were said to be pioneers of grunge. They sort of laid the foundations of grunge. The music in a time when there was still a lot of American hardcore bands playing fast, they were starting to play slow, and you can see that they owed a debt to kind of 70s heavy rock. I did kind of like them at the time, but this album, it's called For Ladies Only, is an album of cover versions. And it sounds a bit kind of tiresome now to me, because that's kind of slow, grindy, grungy, sludgy sound sounded quite refreshing at the time, but probably because there was just so much of that going on round about the time after this, it just sounds very kind of tired to me. And the cover versions include Burning Love, the song that Elvis made famous. There's a lot of black, cynical humour in here. It's produced by Butch Vig, who I think, didn't he produce some of the classic grunge albums? So that's it. Killdozer, For Ladies Only, from 1989. Now this next record I'm a little bit more enthusiastic about, because it's by a band from the late 80s, neo-psychedelic revival, and they were called Laughing Soup Dish. Now I remember friends talking about the single that they brought out on Vox Records in 1985 called Teenage Lima Bean. And I heard that single, and it was really great, really woozy, psychedelic, jangly, primitive gem. So this is their first album, and I was looking forward to this. It came out on Vox Records. Sleeve here designed by R.K. Sloan. The silver Vox label. Vox were a label devoted to psychedelic compilations and garage comps in the 80s and 90s, but they did release records by psychedelic revivalists like Laughing Soup Dish. And did you notice that the initials of Laughing Soup Dish equal LSD? Well, this album is good, but not quite as good as that first single, Teenage Lima Bean. It's very, very in debt to Syd Barrett's Pink Floyd and American sort of late psych bands like Strawberry Alarm Clock. But the album's called We Are the Dish, and I'm glad to have it back in the collection. Does smell a little bit mouldy though from being in the garage. And here's another album which I'm glad to have retrieved from the garage and back in my collection. The Bangles, Different Light. This album's from 1986, and this is around about the time that the Bangles were sort of going into the mainstream and having a lot of hits, but nevertheless it's a very good consistent record. The Bangles began life as the Bangs, and they heard another band had the same name, so they changed it to the Bangles. They were part of the LA Paisley Underground scene, which I wouldn't mind covering in maybe another video. But I always had a soft spot for the Bangles. Jangly music influenced by the 60s and psychedelia. And on this one, it's just hits all the way. Manic Monday, written for them by Prince. Walking Down Your Street, Walk Like an Egyptian. If She Knew What She Wants, I think that's a lovely song that the Byrds never wrote or performed. Very, very jangly. Lots of Rickenbacker on it. And then a fantastic version of Big Star's September Girls. So yeah, happy to have this one back in the collection. Now the next one, I told you this would be diverse. Glenn Campbell's Greatest Hits. Now Glenn Campbell began as a studio musician in LA, and he played with the famous session group The Wrecking Crew. I think he played on some of the Beach Boys albums, and then he ventured out onto a very, very successful solo career. I mean, this best of, I think if you're of a certain age you'll know all of these songs. Galveston. I mean, his covers of the Jim Webb songs are just fantastic. Where's the Playground Susie? I love that one. Wichita Lineman. Played this the other day and thoroughly enjoyed it. And now something a bit different. Helios Creed. This would have probably been one that was sent to me to review for the fanzine, but I was aware of Helios Creed because he was a member of mid to late 70s sort of avant-garde noisy group Chrome. And Chrome sound was very sort of distorted and fed through lots of effects, distorted vocals, and that carried on as Helios Creed went solo after Chrome split up. He's made 21 solo albums, and his sound is sort of mixture of sort of hawkwindy, space rock, psychedelia, and sort of pretty heavy going sort of punky rhythms as well. So that's probably why he was picked up by Amphetamine Reptile label in this album's from 1989, and sort of the nascent grunge scene picked him up as music that people of that generation would like. It's a really enjoyable album. There's Helios himself. Apparently he's about 6'4", and he's a model railway enthusiast. You wouldn't think it, but yeah, I'm probably going to do a needle drop of this. So that it's on Amphetamine Reptile label, as I said, from '89. Helios Creed, The Last Laugh. Finally, here are 4 more plucked from the random pile which I rescued from the garage. Going back to the early 60s now with Del Shannon, the best of Del Shannon on the budget label Contour. Always liked Del Shannon, had many hits in the early 60s, including probably most famously Runaway, Little Town Flirt, Hats Off to Larry, Bullet. I always liked that organ sound, that kind of high-pitched organ sound that reminds me of the clavier line used on Joe Meek Productions in the UK. But probably my favourite on here is Keep Searching, We'll Follow the Sun. Reading about Del Shannon, he committed suicide in 1990, which I didn't realise. He recorded an album which Rob Ison showed recently on one of his YouTube videos called Home and Away, which was produced by Rolling Stones producer Andrew Loog Oldham, recorded in '67, and it was never released. And I've heard it, and it's a lovely sort of light Psych album, and I must get a copy of that. So that's Del Shannon, the best of. Coming forward in time now to a band called Crust. This is a mini LP called Sacred Heart of Crust, and it was released in 1991 on the Trance Syndicate label. And the Trance Syndicate label was run by King Coffee from the Butthole Surfers. When I got this way back in the early 90s, I thought this was King Coffee's band because they sound so much like the Butthole Surfers, you know, the deranged vocals, the sort of tribal drumming, distortion, samples. Yeah, that's the sound of Crust, but it's very good. So King Coffee wasn't in this band, but they're obviously very influenced by the Butthole Surfers, and it sounds like their live act in the early 90s was influenced by the chaos and anarchy of the Butthole Surfers live shows. So apparently the live act included live earthworms, fresh beef tongues, nudity and fire. And I think one of their performances ended in the singer being stabbed, but not to death, because they did reunite, I've heard earlier on. So yeah, I'll keep this one. Sacred Heart of Crust by Crust. Gentler music now, but round about the same time, this is from 1993, Mada Rose's album Bring It Down. They were a New York sort of alternative indie college rock band. At the time there was a lot of this stuff around, and it all seemed to sort of blend into each other. But now, years later, I found I really enjoy this. They use the formula that you would find in bands like Velocity Girl and the Blake Babies, Juliana Hatfield. Melodic female singing over sort of noisy, squalling Sonic Youth, My Bloody Valentine influenced guitar work. So it's a mixture of kind of the noise, of the kind of the sugar and the sweet and the sour, I suppose, really. But didn't think I would like this one so much. But I listened to it on Spotify the other night when I was out on my prescribed walk, and very good. I also didn't realise at the time that they were very successful. John Peel championed them. They were in his Festive 50, and this album, Bring It Down, was in some college rock journal, was voted in the top 10 albums of 1993. And staying in the same era of sort of indie rock, this is another album I thought I'd lost but found in the garage, and it's why I left it in the garage, but it's Teenage Fan Club's second album, Bandwagon-esque, from 1991. This is recorded at Amazon Studios in Liverpool, produced by Don Fleming. A lot of people will be familiar with this record. Scottish band, very melodic. Again, mixture of melody and you know, heavy guitars at this stage. Teenage Fan Club. I think I saw them about a year after this album was released, and they did a really great live show. This was slagged off by the press at the time because they said it was too derivative of The Byrds and Big Star. But really, when you think about it, most pop and rock music is made by bands who are fans, and they're bound to have influences. But I think, you know, just shows those rock critics that Teenage Fan Club have endured and made many albums. I was just listening to their album Howdy today in the car. But yes, I'm glad to have this one back in the collection. That's 10 records which I've plucked out of the random pile that I rescued from the garage. And I mentioned at the beginning of this video that I was wondering where I'd left that Robert Wyatt record, and why I left that in mouldering away in the garage. Anyway, it was there, Robert Wyatt's Rock Bottom, and I'll just get it for you now. Yeah, so here it is, Robert Wyatt, Rock Bottom, on the Virgin label. The cover, I'm afraid, has suffered a bit. This white cover has discoloured a bit, but this is first pressing, Virgin, coloured Virgin label. I played it the other day, and it's the vinyl's still in great condition, so welcome back to my vinyl collection. So that's just 10 records picked from the pile which I rescued the other day from the garage. Dale from Gatefold 33 did something similar recently in a video, and he was assessing whether records that were maybe destined for the car boot sale should come back into his house. So I suppose it's a similar thing to which I've done today, but so it's funny that that was going through my mind, that I needed to rescue those records. I may do another video because there are lots of 7-inch singles and 12-inch singles and some CDs which I also rescue from the garage, which I've been enjoying listening to again, so I probably would like to talk about those. So thanks for tuning in as ever to Baggy Hi-Fi. If you are a new viewer, please subscribe. Thanks for all your comments, and take care for now. Bye.